Kiana, you look like you're going to bust out laughing any minute.
We're live.
Okay, I don't see the little button, but that's okay. Good afternoon, good morning, good day. Just depends on where you are watching from in the world. Today, my name is Clara Lyons Devon, and you tuned in to Home Ownership Changed My Life. So excited that you decided to join us today, whether you're watching us live or you're watching the replay. Homeownership Changed My Life is part of a series of programs that we are doing at the National Association of Real Estate Brokers for millennials, targeting millennials. We want to inspire, we want to engage those who have purchased homes, those who are thinking about purchasing homes. For the 1.7 million millennials out there who are home buyer ready, we are talking to you. So thank you for joining us today. And in case you don't know about the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, we have several initiatives around housing. We are the oldest trade association for real estate, and we have chapters across the country. We have ambassadors across the country who are waiting for you to assist you with your next real estate purchase. So definitely go to our website, House Then the Car on Facebook, or go to housethenthecar.org, and you can click on Your State USA and find our many ambassadors who are there, ready, willing, and able to assist you in your home purchase process. I just want to do a shout out to Miss Letitia Gaines. Wrong person. To Miss Stephanie Milberg, who is our silent co-host and who is the campaign manager for House Then the Car. And you can't see her, but she's there and she's supporting us today. But it is the end of our birthday celebration. So we don't have our birthday hats on, but you know, our 1 year anniversary. Excited for all the work that Stephanie has done. And I just want to introduce you now to co-host for today, Miss Kiana Jones. How are you, Kiana?
I am doing well, Clara. How are you today?
I'm awesome. Thank you for asking.
That is awesome. I hope you voted already.
I voted on the 1st of October, early.
Okay,
Yes,
okay. So,
yes. I
yes,
should wear my little sticker, huh?
yeah. So, yeah, as
Oh,
Claire
good.
introduced me, my name is Kiana Jones. I am a co host for Homeownership Changed My Life and also a local board president here in Columbus, Ohio for the Columbus Realtist Association. And we want to welcome you here. Hopefully, you have already voted or tuning into the show and plan on voting afterwards. But regardless, get your vote in. And I want to thank you for joining us and also introduce you to our guest today, Miss Lynn Poole. And Lynn, go ahead and tell our audience today about yourself.
Well, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to be a part of this panel. And I'm the marketing coordinator, dedicated marketing coordinator for Rental Karma. And I strive in ensuring that we empower United States residents to achieve their goals through renting. I immigrated to the United States in 2016, and I've experienced firsthand benefits on how, you know, rental karma has helped myself in becoming a homeowner, which is part of our call and discussion today. So I look forward to speaking to you all about my experiences. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Lynn. And so, yeah, I did sense the accent there. So, what country are you from?
Well, I'm from Kenya,
Okay.
originally from Kenya, came to the US in 2016 through hard work and dedication. I put myself in a position to come here and pursue my education. And that's where you tell the accent is from, Kenya. Sounds a little bit English, but as you well know, as most of us know in our audience, Kenya is a British colony, so that explains a lot about my accent.
I
Okay,
actually
and
had an opportunity to go to Kenya. Wow. It's
Awesome,
been,
awesome.
yeah, I loved it. I had so much fun. I have friends who live there. It's a beautiful, beautiful place.
That's
Yeah.
that's awesome. I'm glad to hear
Yeah, I
that.
got to see the Serengeti and do safari. It was awesome.
Oh,
Amazing. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
very
So
good.
welcome
Thank you
to
for
my
having
side of the
me.
world.
Thank you
Yeah.
guys for having me.
yeah, so clearly you just purchased your home and you've only been here since 2016. So home ownership must have been top of mind for you, uh, being over here and getting married. So tell us about a little bit about how home ownership is viewed in your country versus here in the United States, and what inspired you to really want to be a homeowner here and so soon.
Well, great. Just to and thank you very much. That's a very great question. And just to give you a little bit context on everything, like I mentioned before, coming here 4 years ago, it was a very, very difficult challenge. And as you all can imagine, moving to a new country, a new place, establishing new connection, cultural norms, getting to know a new place. Um, that was all a little bit very difficult for me. And one thing that I did not anticipate was the new financial system. No one tells
Mhm.
you about credit, it's only in the US. So that was the one of the most difficult obstacles to overcome. And I keep speaking to a lot of my immigrant friends and other people who, live here in the US, be it from Kenya or different countries. I tell them that being credit invisible makes it virtually impossible to be approved for a financial loan. You can get approved for a car, um, rental agreement, as we all know, or even any retail purchases. Now, one that I was most embarrassed about, as I keep sharing this story every day to my circle of friends, was that getting approved for a couch. Now, these are all things that were very most embarrassing yet uplifting moments in my life. So, um, to your question, Kiana, being a homeowner right now, it gives me that sense of, the pride for ownership, just that feeling of coming to your own home, the place where you've saved for, and it just kind of presents a lifelong dream. Well, I tell my friends, my first purchase is not my dream home because this is just establishing equity. And another thing is financial security, it helps a lot in establishing that equity, peace of mind. I don't want to deal with, you know, I don't want to worry about when my lease is up. I don't want to worry about, next thing that goes on in my apartment. So that home ownership gives you that sense of comfortable pride in regards to um, being a homeowner. Another thing is stake of neighborhood. Where I live, I'm in Denver, Colorado, and it's a very nice neighborhood. And stake of neighborhood, what I mean is it makes you more invested in what's going on around you. And it also helps, the people around you, it also helps one way or another, increase property values, if the neighborhood has a band to come together for common improvements. So um, all this boil down to, savings, equity, and enjoyment. So I hope that answers your question, Kiana.
Lynn, you said something about credit being different here in the States than it is in Kenya. So
Mhm.
how do people purchase property in Kenya? Do you not need credit? Is that what's different?
Okay, great. Very good question, Clara. And just to explain about how the Kenyan system works, it works in very, very different ways. And when I clarified and my shock for having the new financial system was
Yeah.
because it's something unheard of. We don't have that. So that's to your question. How it works in Kenya is when it comes to the purchasing process, you have the legal fees, you have stamp duty, whereas you have to pay 4% of the value of the house in tax just for owning a home. You also have down payment, which is about $10,000 equivalent to about 1 million Kenyan shillings. Now, you also have interest rates. Here in the US, my husband and I qualified for a house that is 2.75% interest rate. Historically, it's been at its lowest. Whether you're an African American, American, it's been the lowest in history. 2.75% interest rate. My husband and I are very grateful for what we got. Now, the difference is in Kenya, you get to see 13 to 14% interest rates. So that's where the challenge comes in. And then you also have the home buying process. To answer your question, Clara, be it building or buying, my husband and I went through the buying process, which is very cheap. For others out there watching, they can, relate how buying is cheaper than, building is cheaper than buying. Now, differences in Kenya, you have contractors where it's either you get your own subcontractors or not, or alternatively, you can get a company that can help you, um, you know, deliver these resources for you. That being said, it becomes a lot difficult to build. It becomes a very big challenge to build. And you have building infrastructures that would stay up to 5 to 10 months after from when it's built, mainly because people lack the wages to continue the building process. Now, just to close off with 3 points to your question, you also have insurance, which is a 100% guarantee requirement.
Mhm.
It's not like here in the US where you're told renter's insurance is a requirement. Renter's insurance is an option, but here in the back in Kenya, it is a requirement to have insurance. Now, you also have hidden charges that are not disclosed. For my African brothers and sisters out there watching, this is a fact, not made up facts. So it is, and if you get an offer letter, as some people might identify as a sales agreement, it binds you. There's no way out. Once you sign that paper, even if it's a disclaimer, if you choose to opt out, you end up losing a certain amount. So these requirements, Clara, make it hard for people to go into home ownership in Kenya. And I can speak for other African countries, but one thing I know for sure is these requirements, legal fees, stamp duty, down payment, valuation, interest rates, and paying down a certain percentage of stamp, it's all things that create it's a fear-based tactic that makes a lot of people not to have a way into being encouraged into home ownership. And people don't just want to save. There's the assumption that, if you've worked for a bank in Kenya, you're more likely to qualify for a home loan. You're more likely to qualify for a mortgage or anything, whatever you call it. But
So it
all
sounds
this,
like overall it's a lot more involved
it's
and more
exactly.
difficult.
And
Yeah.
yeah, to my point, it's just a fear-based tactic. Once you instill that fear in people, not many people will be encouraged to become homeowners, because instead of educating our people into, whether it's America or Africa, instead of educating our people into understanding how home ownership works, that fear of all the list of requirements, a list this long, people just don't want to get involved.
Right. Well, that's awesome, Lynn. Thank you. That explanation just really drives home the point that it's really easier here to purchase than what you think it is anywhere else in a lot of places in the world. So why not? If real
Mhm.
estate and investment's going to be a part of the portfolio, then you need to do it, and we're already here, so do it. So definitely. So you came here in 2016, so that's a short amount of time to build your credit in order to purchase a home. So what are some of the steps that you took in order to make yourself eligible?
Great question. So I joined Rental Karma August 2019, and with just, this is a company that helps renters build credit by reporting their on-time rental payments to, the credit bureaus. And I was like, hey, I don't have any credit. One of my colleagues, who is also our CEO and co-founder, was like, what people like you are defined as credit ghosts. And I was like, all these terms and words were very so new to me. And it was so hard to grasp anything. But he told me what this means is you lack credit. And we all know getting to the US as an immigrant, or anyone else in the US, my mother has been here 20 years. She does not have any credit. Why? She's underbanked, unbanked, and she doesn't trust the system.
Mm.
Now, on
Mhm.
my end, I needed to get stuff going. I needed to get a phone. I needed to get a car. I needed everything, but I had no credit. So when I joined Rental Karma, Kiana, um, I only had 4 months of rental history. And just with 4 months of rental history helped me establish credit by having that added just to the credit bureau. And that was just TransUnion. Now, keep in mind, that was just not enough, because that was just only one credit bureau. And now I needed to establish credit across all three credit bureaus. My colleague ended up adding me as an authorized user to his credit card. What this meant for me was I would get to benefit with the credit age that he has. I would also get to benefit with the interest, the user percentage that he has. So whatever reflects on his end reflects on my end. And that's one thing, you have to be added as an authorized user by someone who has good credit. so,
Mhm.
so that, Kiana, helped me. Being added as an authorized user helped me, but my colleague paying down his credit card, me being on the other side, added as an authorized user, I ended up getting the benefits, and that ended up lifting me up. So I moved from a six, by adding 4 months of rental history, I moved from a six, I only had a credit score of 630. But being added as an authorized user helped me move not only from a 630, but to the mid 700s. So
Mhm.
that's my journey with how Rental Karma really helped shape my life from being credit invisible, as some of you all know, a credit ghost, to now someone who actually has credit. I can walk into a store and try and purchase whatever I like. But that's just a summary of how Rental Karma really shaped my life from being non credit existent to being credit existent.
So, I mean, that makes an excellent point. For those who don't have the family members or people that can necessarily gift any down payment assistance or funds like that, perhaps you have someone that has really steady credit that can say, hey, you know what, I will add you as an authorized user. I'm not giving you a card. You don't have spending privileges. You will just be able to take advantage of the good credit habits that I have. So that's another way the family can help family, though. Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And anyone can utilize to establish or boost their non-existent or thin credit history with just, like you said, Kiana, getting to have someone who you can benefit from their good credit habits. So I do agree with you 100%. And that's what exactly happened to me. So it would have been different if I had someone who had bad credit.
Yeah, you have to make sure you have to be careful with that one. So you say you looked at this as only your first house. So now that you are a homeowner, what is your next investment goal?
In my opinion, my in my opinion, my next investment goal is to educate those around me. One thing I take pride in is creating awareness on. I'm one person who, I wouldn't call myself a connector, but I'm one person who, I'm a firm believer in making sure everyone out there has the exact same resources that I had. So that being said, my next investment goal is, making sure sharing my experiences, providing growth opportunities, because quite frankly, there is opportunity to grow. There is opportunity to let other people know on how home ownership can help them to this regard. And when it comes down to me establishing grounds here in the US, I'm talking about my future kids. I'm talking about their kids, generations to come, establishing generational wealth. That being said, I want to ensure that my next investment goal is to ensure that, people understand the opportunities that it takes towards home ownership, and also to look at other non-traditional methods. That way they can qualify for a mortgage, because we've heard this a lot of times, and it's no secret. There are a lot of discriminatory practices towards Black homeowners. We want to make sure that we educate people out there so that they know what they have. So um, when you look at the lending system, um, I want to make sure we educate people, not just in my job, but also outside my work, educate them on capabilities of what they have when it comes to the home buying process. You look at Black homeowners, they've experienced a lot of discrimination through um, lending practices. So my goal is to, in a nutshell, educate people out there and ensure that we change the leadership, because if we change the leadership, lenders will then now start to consider implementing underwriting criteria that can move fully and equitable access for applicants on home ownership. So race has been an issue, and I'm very passionate about this because my home purchase was not just simple as, going to get a home, but I've experienced that as well. So, just going through, just to close the gap towards this process is what my end goal is, as an investment for myself, for my people, for our Black communities here in America, not just as an African myself, but I consider myself also as a Black individual, because that's how everyone sees me here. They don't go like, that's a Kenyan. But those are my goals, to make sure education is widespread out for people. And before I invest further on myself, I want to make sure the community around me is further invested on better ways to acquire equity, acquire um, stability towards home ownership, not just for myself. My next goal is not just for me, but it's for my community, for my brothers and sisters out there. So just to
Mhm.
spread awareness and education.
Lynette is so awesome, because one of the tenets of the National Association of Real Estate Brokers is education. And if you go on the House and the Car website,
Okay.
there are resources there for credit tools, for budget tools, for
Hmm.
estimating your FICO score, for down payment assistance. Like all of those things, people can just go on. They don't have to put in any personal information, just financial information,
Hmm.
and get things that will help them in the home buying process. You also can, as an individual, be a member of a local chapter there in your state. You can be an affiliate member. Are you in the mortgage industry now?
No.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you can be an affiliate member, like as a community person,
Yeah.
as a real estate, of course, as a real estate agent or broker, and also any of the industries related to real estate can join our local chapter. So we would love to have you, because your passion and your commitment for increasing the number of African American homeowners, which is one of the tenets of the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, is right in line with what we're about and what we do.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate that.
Thank you, Clara. And you know what? I mean, you've said a lot about, talking to millennials and if they're not ready for home ownership and all of those, but you also mentioned that you kind of had some stumbles along the way too. So, is there anything that you would have done differently had you had another chance?
Um, Quite frankly, I think, when they say, when you know, and when it happens accordingly, it just happens. So quite frankly, on my end, I don't have any regrets through the whole process. Um, I wish I was more educated through the buying process, the building process. Luckily, I had my husband, who's an American, who helped us through all that process. So if I looked back, I wouldn't have changed anything. I just wished I had more education on everything, because you're looking at myself as an individual, where I came here and did my master's at University of Denver and paid out cash to make sure that, I complete my master's degree. And you get to hear stories about home ownership being low in Black communities, and get to hear about how Black college graduates, in comparison to a lot of white high school dropouts, end up, you know, the gap when it comes to the borrowing on the loans, and of all racial groups, African Americans, you know, quite frankly, have more student loans that are more likely to default on those payments. So I wish I had those. I wish I had the education to understand what my stakes are here, living as a Kenyan and now identified as an African American, to understand what it takes for the home buying process to contribute to home ownership gap, and to ensure that I can understand what stakes it requires to meet those credit requirements for the lending standards. Because my husband was like, what's your credit score? And I was like, it's just around 6 something. He's like, no, we have to get it on the 7. And I'm like, big deal, we have good credit. He's like, no, that's not what it takes. So that lack of education, I wish I had that earlier. Luckily, my husband and I really went through a process where we really had a mortgage and lender who was walking hand in hand with us and ensuring that we meet the best requirements. And like I said earlier in my talking points, interest rates in Kenya, 13 to 14%. We qualified for 2.75%. That's unheard of in a lot of cases. So that just simple education to letting people know how credit matters and how establishing this credit helps you not only meeting just good requirements, but also helps you qualify for better interest rates,
Yeah, that's,
Mhm.
that's why we're here. Exactly why we're here is to educate
Indeed.
everyone so that they can have better process with the home buying process. And hopefully, if you didn't have an agent assist you with your build process, that's all encompassing here with NAREB, the National Association of Real Estate Brokers. The realtors will make sure that you have a lender that can help guide you through the process. But even if you are building, you want to have a realtor by your side to help you through that process. As Lynn has stated, there were some things you wish you had the knowledge to help get you through those. So, Lynn, I want to thank you. Everything that you have laid out is everything that I would want a millennial to know. Clara, thank you so much for having me here. And Lynn, thank you again, Stephanie.
Yeah.
Clara, on to you.
So I just want to clarify because sometimes I don't stutter, but I may not speak clearly. Kiana is saying realtist,
Yes.
REALTIST,
Realtist.
not realtor, realtist.
Okay.
And a realtist is a real estate professional who belongs to a chapter of the National Association of Real Estate Brokers. And Kiana is a realtist. I am a realtist. Stephanie, our campaign manager, is a realtist. And realtists have a special set of skills. We are really, if you're not working with a realtist, seek us out because we know where the money is. We know where the down payment assistance programs are, and you can go on the House from the Car website to find out. You put in an address in your town, USA, and it will tell you all of the down payment assistance programs that are available to you. So there's just a ton of resources and additional information that working with a realtist affords you that you don't always get in working with a realtor. So just want to make that clarification. And Lynn, as Kiana said, you have been excellent in really laying out the importance of credit, and the advantage. I don't think people realize being here in the United States, a lot of the advantages that we have that other places do not have.
Sure.
And one is interest, the interest rate, to the ability to be able to put down 3% or 3.5% or less than 5% down to purchase a property. That's, not so, everywhere else. So that's an advantage. The ability, I was just talking to one of my realtist friends from New York, and, properties there are 1 point whatever million. And in different communities, yes, they were sending me a referral, hallelujah. But they're in other communities, if you're in a community where you can get a house for 30,000, 50,000, 70,000, 100,000, 150, 200,000, 3, 4, 5, whatever you can purchase it for in your community or not in your community, you might purchase something in another state as an investment. It's an investment. Lynn talked about how you're building equity over time, and your credit score helps you get that lower interest rate. So the higher your credit score, the lower your credit score, the higher your interest rate. So if you want to get that 2.75, in the 700s is good, but don't let being in the 600s stop you. You can purchase a property with a 600 credit score, right? So there are, and it still would be under 5%, which is still great. It's still doable. You'll still have an affordable payment, and in many times less than what you would be paying for rent. Lynn, you were going to say something?
Yeah, and just wanted to interject on what you were saying. Like, that shouldn't stop you. A lot of millennials should understand that for those who think they're not ready to buy a home and purchase, you are ready. You just don't know that you are ready. People should stop investing on materialistic things. People should start saving. I sometimes cringe my nerves because some of the influencers and some of the people we follow on social media platforms don't set the expectations that we have. You want to buy expensive purse, you want to buy expensive cars. Think about
expensive car.
Yeah, exactly. Think about, forget about, the Instagram lifestyle, forget about, all these things. People, you are ready, you just don't know it yet. Forget about the social status. So that's what helped a lot of sacrifice in my life: discipline, knowledge, education, and that hunger to get more. So for the millennials out there who think that they are not ready to purchase a home, you are. You just don't know that you're ready. Try and find resources, people who can help you in regards to establishing financial literacy. Just one example is when I was doing my master's at DU, I had a colleague who had a $2,000 credit card. I myself, I was on a student budget, so it was very hard to go places with people because you have, and she was a nice white lady, and I asked her, how do you do that? She was like, my dad taught me. And that's the thing that ties back to Africa and also African American homes. It comes back together. That financial literacy, the education, we lack that. So it comes together where we lack that financial literacy on educating our younger children and generations to come. We need to apprise, share untold stories about Black individuals, Black communities, home ownership, whatever it is, to encourage more people into home ownership. So for millennials, we need to reprioritize our lives, because what we see out there is not just what people have. So we need to focus on establishing equity, establishing ground. Simple as that.
Indeed.
Yeah.
You heard it from Lynn. establish that base work, establish your budget, get your money together, house, then the car. If you're paying over $600 a month for a car, you could be living in something for $600 a month. That could be a part of your mortgage payment, and you get more value back from that mortgage than you'll get back from that car any day of the week. Kiana, you were going to say something?
Yeah. Nope, I'm in agreement with all of this. So thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's awesome. So we just want to encourage, we hope that in hearing this story, to know how Lynn sharing her story of how homeownership changed her life, that you are inspired, that you know that you can do it, that you know that the resources are there for you to assist you to take it from an idea, desire, a dream, and make it a reality. So we are here, House Them the Car. We're on Facebook. You can go to the website, House Them the Car. We will be back Tuesday for Millennial Talk Tuesday for those millennials who haven't quite purchased a home yet, but they're thinking about it because we want you to know what some of the dilemmas are, that can be overcome, and what people are doing to work towards home ownership. So thank you for joining us today. If you haven't voted, get out and vote. We still have time in the rest of the day, and we are just rooting for you. Home ownership is 89% of wealth for Americans, and we're focusing on African Americans specifically in the next 5 years, because we're in the 40th percentile, and we want to be in the 80th percentile with everybody else. So be part of the solution, invest in yourself, invest in real estate, and join us again next week for Millennial Talk Tuesday, and the following week for Homeownership Changed Our Lives. Until then, thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Kiana.
Thank you.
We just appreciate everything that you shared today. And Kiana, thank you as well. You are a phenomenal host. Love you.
Thank you.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you
Claire,
guys for having me. Have a good one.